Hey everybody, Bob Ciccarello back with another great edition of Monday Night Muscle. And I am joined today by the editor-in-chief of Muscle and Fitness Hers, and of course, Flex Magazine, Zack Zeigler. What's up, Zack?
What's up, Bob?
It's been a while, my friend. Good to catch up with you, but
look, I'm glad to be here, even though I know you didn't really want me on the show.
Well, I know you're kind of behind the scenes, so it's good for you to break out in front of the camera every once in a while.
Listen, it's good, man. I don't take it personally. I get it.
People see the name, but now they can put a face with it.
What do you mean? You mean I'm not a good follow-up from Ronnie Coleman or Dexter Jack? You don't think I? No,
well, you're right in the middle somewhere between LEVRONE and Ronnie Coleman. But
can I ask you something about LEVRONE?
Sure.
Now that you brought him up,
yeah.
Did he ever give you that whole hybrid space alien person or what? I don't know. I don't know much about it, but can you explain it to me? Because I've heard a lot of different.
Kevin's a character. He's as long as that. And we go back to the early nationals days, so we competed as amateurs together. But Kevin is unique in all the world. He's such a character. But you know what? I'll take a Kevin all day long because he's never a bad interview, and you know this from being in the magazine business.
Yeah.
The last thing you want is a guy that's boring, or he ain't got nothing to say,
right.
or nothing's new. So I'll take 100 Kevins all day long, but he's unique. Let me put it that way.
What is it that he's? Can you explain it to me, please, so I can just kind of put it to bed? Because I've heard different people kind of give me bits and pieces, and I'm still not sure.
Listen. I can't explain it any more than anybody could. He can't even explain it. That's
right.
how bizarre it is. But Kevin just comes up with stuff, I think, just to get a rise out of people.
Okay.
He's that kind of guy, where he'll throw something out and then he'll kind of give you that look like. But he's got a real dry sense of humor where you don't know whether he's joking sometimes or not. But like I say, Kevin's in addition to being a great bodybuilder, he's a great character, and we can always use more characters in bodybuilding. But let's get into your stuff. This is my interview. Stop asking me questions.
Oh, sorry. But just because I know you didn't really want me here, so I thought I'd come and talk to you.
It's because that's what you're used to doing. See, but now you're on the other side.
It is. It's actually I'm actually not that comfortable being interviewed because it's different. I'm used to kind of controlling things and controlling the pace, and it is a little weird.
I feel you because every once in a while I'm on the other side, and I'm the one that's on the microphone. I'm the one, the voice of bodybuilding and all that stuff. So it's a little strange that I'm on the opposite side when people are asking me questions. So I get it. But you've got quite the colorful past, my friend. We got a chance to catch up a while ago. Your history doesn't come from bodybuilding. It's actually in wrestling. Is that correct, sir?
Well, yes,
WWE style.
Yes, it does. That was where I started my career. I was sleeping on a friend's couch and got a call that I was.
Did he know you were sleeping on his couch? Or?
He did, actually, because I'd been there for a few weeks. So, it was after college, and I didn't want to be at home anymore. So I figured I would just take the summer, stay down with him in Belmar at the Jersey Shore, and see what happened. And I guess at some point I applied for an internship at WWE because I got a call.
Now, for those who are looking up right now on WWE.com, you weren't wrestling actually.
No, no. It was an internship for for WWE.com, and it turned into something really cool. I was able to be on the road with them and go to a lot of really cool places.
Now, was this just a job opportunity, or did you have a liking for wrestling? That you grew up like we did, watching wrestling and the Hulkster and all that stuff? Or
I grew up watching it and was super into it. Fell off, got into it for a little bit in the '90s or Attitude Era or whatever.
Sure.
And then dropped off again. And then when I saw a gig come up, I was like, why not,
The Attitude Era was the best. I mean, because I've watched it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally grew up watching the early days when it was on the Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah.
And all, those early ones, with the Iron Sheik and, Sergeant Slaughter and all the, the old characters. But, so I followed it ever since. A lot of my good friends are wrestlers. Now we travel a lot of us in the same circles. I'm very good friends with
name drop some people. Who are they? DDP,
I'm
right?
good friends with a few. The Rock, actually, we used to kind of kick around a little bit in California. He was still The Rock, but he wasn't like The Rock like now. He was just getting his way into wrestling. Great guy, though. We used to kick around a couple of clubs. Batista's a very good friend of mine.
So what do you mean?
Animal.
When you say you kick around at clubs, like were you going out to clubs?
Yeah.
And okay. Yeah. I'm curious as to what you'd wear at a club because what you wear outside of the club is pretty, it's
Well, we didn't blend, exactly. So, and people still knew who he was because, like I say, he was a big wrestler still at that point. This is just prior to him getting, being the biggest movie star in the world. And a good friend of mine is, as you know, this is Diamond Dallas Page, who we don't actually live too far from each other, so we kind of catch up on occasion and, kind of kick around with DDP and throw a few diamond cutters, feel the bang. You know what it is, Zach.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Sorry, man. I don't mean to hijack this, but I have a lot.
Okay, go ahead.
It's so you competed for a long time, and then when you stop competing and you get off stage and you start to hang around with people, say The Rock and DDP, and do you is there any jealousy there? Because you were the guy that everybody's looking at. Yet when you step off stage, you're still involved in the industry, but now you're no longer like the center of attention. Did that bother you at all? Because I feel like it bothered me.
No, there's a well-known little saying in the industry. Every bodybuilder wants to be a wrestler, and every wrestler started out as a bodybuilder. And then you kind of find your way depending on where your success lies. So as a bodybuilder, you're coming up and, every bodybuilder loves wrestling. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
But if you're not tall enough, you're not big enough, you don't have the athleticism, that ain't going your way. And as wrestlers, almost all of them started out as bodybuilders. A lot of the Triple H, Batista himself, I can go right down the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
They were all competitors, a lot of them in the NPC. But a lot of them are taller, they're thinner, they don't have that kind of mass, and they found their way out of bodybuilding because they weren't going to do very well there. But boom, they got athleticism, and if you've got a good personality, boom, there you are.
But that's why.
We all kind of get along famously. Everybody kind of likes each other, and they love bodybuilding, of course.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think you can see. I know you'd see Triple H a lot of times come backstage at the Olympia, and I think he even announced it once. I don't know if it ever aired. But
me and Triple H, here's a little history for you. We actually co-hosted the press conference back in, I think it was 2005, together. So me and Triple H did the press conference together, which was absolutely hilarious. And this was the first year AMI had come in, and they had bought the Olympia from Weider and the publications and all that. So it's the very first Olympia for them. And I had come up with this whole scheme. I wanted to do like this skit kind of thing with Triple H, Well, they didn't think it was a good idea. I ran it past Peter McGuff, rest in peace. And he was like, I don't know. I mean, I like it, but it's brand new. I don't know how the owners are going to take it. So the whole thing kind of got shelved, right, just before. So we're just going to do the press conference as normal. And I'm telling this to Triple H backstage, right? And I go, man, I had some good ideas. And I was like, hey, what'd you want to do? I'm like, man, I wanted us to do this and that. I go, but we can't do it. He goes, well, why not? I go, well, we got kind of new owners in the Olympia, and I don't know if they would be too impressed, but they could, I can get fired out of this thing. And he's like, well, they can't fire me. And I go, that's true, yeah. He goes, so if I started, because I had given him the kind of the scheme of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
He's like, I love it, man. Let's do it. And he goes, they can't fire me, so if I start it, then you're off the hook, right? Whatever you want to do, man. You know what I mean? So we actually went through and we did this whole thing at the end where we were kind of getting on each other. Like we're going to go at it and fight and all this stuff. It was years later. I still had people coming up to me asking me if it was real. Because we sold this thing so good that people thought we were going to literally start going at it right on the spot. So,
but you could take him, right? So if he's watching, you could just.
Well, you know what I always love about the wrestling? Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want a part of me, clearly. But you know what I always liked about these guys is they because they know the entertainment value, they're perfect people to go to. So we've had Stone Cold on stage at the Olympia before. We've had a lot of the wrestlers, over the years, and other sports celebrities as well, like Shaq, who was at the last Olympia. But they get it, they get the idea that we need to make it entertaining.
Right.
And you need good guys and bad guys, Not to the point where it's hokey, because they tried that with the WBF years ago.
Yeah.
With McMahon and all that, and it didn't go over well.
No.
Because you can't cross that line. You need entertaining, but you can't go pure characters. The bodybuilding community would never buy it. They didn't buy it, and that's why that whole thing fell flat.
So let me spin off that. What's one thing, and I'm just going to improv with you here. What's one thing you think that could improve the entertainment value of the Olympia, the show itself? Is there anything that you have in your mind? Because I feel like you've been involved in it so long.
I got loads of ideas.
Hit me with
as
it,
Jake
man.
knows, I'm a fountain of ideas. But it's not per se the Olympia, but the sport itself.
That's right. Yeah, that's
the whole circuit, like all the shows.
Right.
I'm in for anything again that stops before it gets hokey.
Okay.
And by hokey, I mean we don't need the predetermined kind of a skittish. Skit-ish, not skittish.
Right, I get it.
Portion of that. Hulk Hogan gave me some great advice years ago because we would catch each other in the gym, and I interviewed him a handful of times.
Was he in character when he talked about that?
He's always kind of half in character, so it's a little toned down. So I'm asking him, and he's like, "Well, brother."
Yeah.
So it's still there. It's just not way over the top. But I'll give you a good story on Macho Man later on that one also. But he said, and I quote, when you can get the personalities as big as the physiques, now you got something. And I always remembered that.
Yeah.
You need good guys and bad guys. What kills bodybuilding and has over the years is indifference. People don't care. You know, they're great bodybuilders, but again, you got to cheer for somebody. You got to hate somebody's guts. You got to want somebody to, you want the underdog to win, you know, that type of thing. That's the kind of characters I'm talking about creating. And
so what holds it back?
Tradition. The fact that we're not wrestling, we're a, quote, legitimate sport, if we can use sport, because even that's up for debate all the time with bodybuilding, but it's just a mindset. And once that mindset changes, and again, you don't have to get fake, you just need to kind of supersize everything. So you take somebody, and listen, we've got nicknames, we got the Blade, and we got this, you know, we got the Giant Killer. Listen, these are just regular characters, but you supersize them,
right.
and you pit them against each other, and you need people to like them or hate them. And that's fine because it sells. It sells tickets, it sells interest to the shows, it sells pay-per-views. That's what it does. And I'd love to see more of that come into play, because all that stuff will culminate in increased revenue, increased interest. People, you know, for years, you know, how can we get to the mainstream? We need to get to the mainstream. It's like, no, we're not ever going to get to the mainstream because we're not mainstream. We don't have to.
Right.
We've got hundreds of thousands of millions of people in the fitness industry. Mm-hmm. That is our crew. Listen, that's all you need. If I get $1 from each one of them, I'm gold.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. That you know, you do hear that a lot, and I hear it a lot from my end about like the difference between bodybuilding and the rest of the fitness industry. And yeah, my thing is, why not just corner the bodybuilding industry, because there's so many rabid fans, and in a lot of ways, bodybuilding fans are a lot like WWE fans in that they are very rabid, they're very involved, and they're engaged, and they have an opinion, and they want to share it, and that is something that it takes such a long time to build. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's kind of what you try to do at the, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth here, but at the press conferences, that's what you try to do. You try to get people talking and try to get them to say the things that they're probably thinking, or maybe they told you in private that they may have held back, or they just posted on social media and maybe somebody saw it. Maybe
and we've had some great ones over the years.
Oh, yeah.
You can go back just a few years, especially with like Phil and Kai. Mm-hmm. And these guys nothing of this was scripted.
Right.
You know, and I can tell you more about that stuff later, but I've got to hear about some of your favorite WWE stories. We're going to get to that in just a moment. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Back with Zack Zeigler in just a moment. And we're back. Monday Night Muscle. I'm here with Double Z himself, Zack Zeigler. How about that for a wrestling name, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that the name of the guy in Boogie Nights? Wasn't that Zack Zeigler?
No, that was Dirk Diggler.
Dirk Diggler. Zack Zeigler, Dirk Diggler.
I did get a lot. I did that. I got that a lot when I was younger, but you know, it kind of faded, I guess. Mark Wahlberg went on to other things, and people forgot about that dude, thankfully.
So before the break, I prompted you for some good old wrestling stories.
Sure.
You got to have a few of your favorites of. You just got yourself in the middle of some stuff, or you got, you had to spend a good amount of time with these guys. So what's one of your favorite stories, Zach?
Man, I will say this. I haven't really thought about this, so I'm literally going to pick the one that I just thought of.
Sure.
We were in Milan, I think, and you know, I was kind of out and about with some of my coworkers, some people on the crew, nobody like that anybody would know.
Sure.
And we end up at this place where there are a lot of the talent, and they're out. And
now you're out at like a bar or a restaurant?
It's a bar. Okay, it's like an outdoor bar. And
okay.
It's warm. It's nice. It's springtime, and you know, everybody is dancing. I'm not, because I don't really like to dance. But
who were you with? Give me some of the names that you're with at the time.
Let's see. I used to ride with Michael Cole. I think his name's Sean Coulthard, but Michael Cole, he's an announcer. I think he's still an announcer.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, he's I used to ride with him, and nothing but good things to say about him. He was always really fair and really.
Now, were any of the wrestlers out with you guys?
Yeah, but it wasn't like I actually preferred to kind of stay away from them if possible, because one, like talent, like they were always on stage, right? Like so, if somebody was going to be you know, made fun of, it was going to be me or somebody else. And if, you push back, it's like, who's going to get fired out of this deal? It's going to be me. I'm not really making money for the company or anybody else. But so we were in Milan, and basically, from what I recall, and if I screw up this story,
Nobody would know.
Sorry.
'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know the story.
So yeah, we're out there, and I see this all these people kind of jumbled together, and I'm like, oh, what's that? And a friend of mine's like, yo, let's get out of here. I said, what? Well, what's going on? And then another friend of mine who I don't want to name, he specifically asked me to name, was like, look, you got to leave now. I said, why? He goes, because if you stay and there's a fight and you don't get involved in the fight, you'll be seen as somebody who didn't stick up for the talent.
Okay.
And I said, oh, okay. And he said, now, if you stay and you fight, you're going to get arrested and then you get fired. And he's like, I'm like, wow.
Man, what a position you're
I'm like,
in.
this is no good. So, yeah, I basically just kind of like slinked away, like before anybody
Probably
really saw
wise,
me.
my friend.
Yeah, I don't even know how it ended. I think it ended peacefully, hopefully. But yeah, that was.
Yeah, these are probably not the guys you want to be there when they got a couple of drinks. I've heard some stories myself over the years with some of these guys who were known.
Yeah.
For like Haku and somebody. These were not guys you wanted to meet, especially the Samoan guys. Mm-hmm. They could put down some beers and they like to have their fun, and their fun's different than our fun.
Right, and again, like a lot of times they would be on stage, like they would be with the talent was the talent, the boys, and then there was the rest of us. I never considered myself as being obviously a part of the talent.
Right.
I knew there was a divide.
Now, what was your actual role while you
So
were
I was on the road collecting content, so basically I would just be at the shows, sometimes in the creative meetings, so I'd know what was going on, and then we'd find ways to promote what was happening. But I would also be trying to gather, other types of content. I really enjoyed the things that didn't have to do with storylines.
I got you. Sure,
it was just really like kind of what I was asking before, things about people. Like I'm interested in people, and how that job specifically either affected how they lived or their relationships. Like that was a big deal to me.
Sure. Yeah.
It just mattered. So those are the kinds of things I was interested in. And when it got to be too much about who was going to beat who, then it was time for me to go. So it just was, it's probably not the greatest story to pick, but it was the
what a
only
great
one I
time
could
and a
think
place,
of.
though. And obviously, I'm sure there's many stories if we had time.
Yeah,
to
if I thought about it, yeah. But,
how do you
let me ask you something. Come
Go
on,
ahead,
man.
Jay.
Come on.
Go ahead, brother.
So how long have you been doing this show for?
Monday Night Muscle?
Yeah.
Just this year. We've got one season under our belt.
So this is season 2, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. I know Sean Ray is known for being somebody that kind of speaks his mind, says whatever he wants.
Always has been.
Does that hold back the show? Because a lot of times on social media, some people do take, like, I don't want to say offense to it, but it does kind of kick up a stir. Does it cause a distraction for you? Do you guys ever bicker about that off camera?
Oh, we bicker every day.
Yeah?
It's funny because we throw jabs at each other. Now, just to give you a little background, most of our people watching know this already, but me and Sean go way back. Like we go back to like 1985. In that era, we actually competed against each other in the Teenage Nationals, Teenage America, these type of shows. So that's where we actually met.
Who placed higher?
He did, which he reminds me of every single time we get here. Which I still think was bullshit. I got a problem with that. I'm going to bring it up with Mannion when I see him next.
I think we should.
I've never gotten over that one, but
it's contested.
So we go back that far,
Okay.
and we're literally like brothers. Where we fight and bicker online, especially all the time, especially with the political stuff, right? Because that's his thing. Now he doesn't know what he's talking about, but that's his thing. Still, he likes to do. But Sean likes to jerk people's chains. He loves to get under people's skin and just create that kind of stuff. So it makes for a good dynamic actually,
right.
Because we do have opposing views on everything, not everything, but a lot of things. But that's good because you can't agree on everything and have an interesting show.
Right.
So to answer your question,
but him dragging all the political stuff, it doesn't really get in the way of what you're like. This show isn't really about that, from what I've seen. Like I don't know if that's what you're trying to make it, but
we don't get into that on this show because it's not the place. Now, if we had a different show where you want to have discussions on that type of stuff, great.
Yeah.
It'd probably be very popular. But we stick. It's 90% bodybuilding and 10% bullshit. So,
am I the bullshit? Am I 10% bullshit?
No,
Yeah.
no offense. But no, we like to have fun, and we listen. Like I say, we'll jab each other all day long. He gets me on whatever, beating me back in '85, or taking forever to turn pro. I get him on the fact that he's 5 foot tall and he's bald. So, so there's your give and your take there. But no, listen, we have a lot of fun doing it. We take nothing personally. We're it's like that old cartoon. I don't know if you remember. This is way before your time, but on the Bugs Bunny cartoons, they'd have the dog and the coyote, and they would fight each other all day. But then they would hang up, like the whistle would blow, and they would hang up and they would leave as friends. So when they would check in, the idea was the one that had to steal the sheep, the other one had to pretend, it was a sheepdog. But the whistle blows, and literally they walk off together. Good morning, Sam. Morning, Ralph. That type of thing. And that's how we are like, with that stuff. It's all left at the door, and then we go and eat steak.
All right. Well, we do got to cut to a commercial. I'm taking us out on this one, if you don't mind.
Okay.
If I could take over, we'll be right back.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
And we're back on Monday Night Muscle. I'm the new host, Zack Zeigler. This is Bob, the guest.
Glad I could join.
Now, I want to pick up where we left off. So you just mentioned it took a long time to get your pro card. During that time, was it 11 years?
13, but 13. Who was counting?
Yeah, let's go with 11. Now,
11, 13.
Did you want to quit, or did you think about quitting at any time?
No. No.
Okay.
It was something that I knew I had the ability to do, and I should have done years ago.
What stopped you?
In retrospect, and I'm going to stop short of the old, because people they use this terminology, and I've always hated it. They said, as I think about it now, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. It's like, no, it's not the best thing that could have happened to me. The best thing that could have happened is I would have turned pro in 1989 when I was second place by a point, and I could have turned pro then. Now, in all fairness, again, looking at it objectively, had I turned pro in 89 at the USA, what would my career have been like? Now, there's a lot of speculation. You can go down 100 roads because you never really know what could have happened.
Right.
But it was, the toughest time to be competing anywhere in bodybuilding history. The lineups were hard. They were deep. We talk about this all the time. You know this from your writings in Flex Magazine. The 90s were brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard. We were just talking with Kevin LEVRONE and Chris Cormier before that. Both those guys were in the 91 Nationals, which I was also in. To this day, considered the toughest national lineup in history. And you go down the line, and it's a who's who. It's Kevin LEVRONE, it's Flex Wheeler, in order. It's Paul DeMeo, it's a guy named Ronnie Coleman. You probably heard of him.
I've heard of him.
Matt Mendenhall in fifth, who was kind of making his comeback, but he was a top guy for years. I was sixth, Cormier was seventh, Edgar Fletcher eighth, Dean Caputo ninth. I mean, you go down to the top 10, and everybody turned pro at some point. But it was tough, But yeah, did I ever consider quitting? No. It was one of those things I was going to see through, and it was going to be in the open because now you can turn pro a variety of ways. Masters, this, that. That never had any interest to me. Now I was only 34 at the time, which was considered a little bit old to be turning pro then, which is funny now because you got guys in their 40s and 50s turning pro. So, I'm not a guy that's going to quit anytime soon. I knew I had the tools. I was better than a lot of these guys that were beating me. I was the one holding myself back. It really had nothing to do with them.
Do you think you could trace it back to losing to Sean in '85? Because I feel like that's where it all stems from.
Yeah, it rubs me the wrong way, man. I mean, listen, taller, better looking, better. Actually, he had hair back then. So although mine was better, he had the flat top, the Gumby cut, work in there. But no, listen, Sean was great as a teenager.
Yeah.
But being my height, at probably under 6 foot now, but age, bro, I was taller and leaner, and I was completely natural. I'm 15, 16 years old. I don't know nothing about nothing. You're talking 1985 here, okay?
Right.
So we didn't have a lot of the knowledge we have today. You kind of did your best eating school lunches and whatever mom makes for dinner. There was no dieting or that type of stuff going on. But Sean was great at an early age. But when you're 5'3" or whatever he is, it's easy to fill up the muscles. It's tougher when you're bigger.
Do you miss competing, or do you feel connected because you're still on stage a lot and you're still involved?
I've never missed competing, and I think it's for exactly the reason you just said. I was able to transition into other avenues. Ironically, I won my last show. That's that nice ring that you got there. Get a nice close up there. Which was the 2006 Masters World Championships, which was the Masters Olympia. So I went in that, won it, and hung him up on the stage. So I figured I'm going to go out on top. I'm done. I'm 40 years old now. Now, the interesting thing was Robin Chang comes to me, who was the promoter of the Olympia at that time, and he says, congratulations, champ, great job. So what do you want to do? And I'm like, what do you mean, what do I want to do? And he's like, well, that win just qualified you for the Olympia. So going forward, now I'm already hosting the Olympia.
Right.
He says, do you want to compete or do you want to continue to MC it? Now, to me, this was an easy decision. I'm 40 years old. I just finished on a high note. Thank you. Good night, everybody on stage, right?
Yeah.
With the title. And I got a spot now. You know, like this is kind of my future. You know, going forward, I'm not going to be still competing. Something told me, I don't know what it was, bro, but something in the back of my mind told me I was not going to beat Ronnie Coleman. I don't know what it was to this day. It was just a weird inkling that I probably wasn't going to beat him ever.
I don't know. I don't know if you should have doubted yourself.
Nah, I got to draw the line there, bro.
But
I told Robin, I says, look, easy decision, bro. I'll keep the microphone. The only thing tougher than hanging up your trunks, bro, was fitting back into them.
I could also think, though, just the memories that would have been created if you would have been emceeing, but also called your own name and just like tore off your suit.
It did enter my mind for a quick moment that I could Velcro myself together, introduce myself, and go out there.
Oh, man.
And then, you know, and hopefully announce a placing after that. But listen, like I say, it cost thousands to get ready. All I had to do was buy a new tie, you know, and I was good to go. So, but no, you know, getting back to your original, I've never missed actually competing because A, I did it for a long time. B, I wrote my own way out.
Right.
I was able to win my last show, go out as a winner, accomplish what I reasonably thought I could accomplish at the time. Not chasing rainbows here, you know what I mean? You got to be realistic.
But that, as a competitor, is that one of the hardest things to do? Is be realistic with yourself? Because everybody's got these visions that they're going to be number one. I mean, a buddy of ours Sean Perrine, who passed away a few years ago. He was a huge bodybuilding fan. He wanted to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then he's like, yeah, my genetics are not going to allow me to do this. So he was like, what I'm going to do is be the best I can be in my own body. Is that kind of where you started to, like, you know, put your career in perspective and say, I know I can achieve this, but I'm not going to beat Ronnie, and kind of.
You got to be realistic, and bodybuilding is probably the last sport that people are realistic, because they tend to A, have an ego involved, and B, worse, is surround yourself with people that feed you all this stuff. And it's worse today with social media. Yeah. You surround yourself with 5,000 of your best friends. My mother still thinks I should have won every show I ever went in. She thought that Ronnie guy was just too big.
She stopped talking to Sean like a long time ago.
He's like, Ma, just please. But yeah, if you have any type of real sense to you, you kind of need to know where you are and what your capabilities are and where your future lies. Even if I competed there, and let's just say I did reasonably well and let's just say I took in the top 10. I took 10th place, right? Top 10 in the world, great. Where are you going after that? You know, what goes on in the next 10, 15 years? And I think I made the right decision there, even though I think I could have done reasonably well. My path was clear, and that was, was going to be to pursue this MC, stuff that I had going on, and being the voice of the Olympia and the, and bodybuilding and all that. So it served me well. But let me throw this to you, though, Zach. So that was my foray into that.
Man, I had some more.
What was your foray? How did you get involved in the Muscle and Fitness and Flex magazine?
Sure, I was working for a division of Major League Baseball, and it was a dead-end gig. I was going nowhere, and I was really just down and out, and I was like, geez, I got to do something. So I saw a posting for Flex magazine, and growing up, I had read them, obviously, and I had read Muscle and Fitness, and I knew, and I was super into training at that point. And I said, you know what, screw it. Like, a lot of people told me I was stupid and foolish, and like, you'll never get anywhere as a writer and editor. And I said, okay. And there were people from my hometown in Pennsylvania, so I just was like not going to listen to them. So I submitted my resume, and a guy named Alan Donnelly at the time was the editor-in-chief.
Oh yeah, remember
and Alan gave me a shot and gave me a chance. I moved out, sold all my stuff, basically, showed up, stayed at some I found off Craigslist. Thank God I'm still alive to tell the story.
Yeah.
And from there, just kind of things, steamrolled. And
now, quickly moving it forward, because it would take hours for us to cover all the stuff.
I'm boring
we can cover.
Anyway, yeah.
But where's the future of now? It's no secret that paper is kind of gone the way of the dinosaur to a degree.
What?
I know.
Thanks for telling me.
Listen, I'm still trying to get a Betamax machine, and I can't find one, so I'm old school, bro. But where's the future? But magazines, as it would be in the format, is hardly dead. It's very much alive, just in digital format. So where are we going forward with this whole thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
You better know.
I think it's it's a good question. Like Muscle and Fitness Flex, Muscle and Fitness Hers. Like right now there isn't a print component. There's a possibility that our new owner Jake Wood is going to be bringing that back, and if he does, there is a reason behind it. Like a lot of people still do put prestige in that.
Sure.
Is it a money-making venture right now? It can be for some people. It can also cost you a lot of money. So you have to be careful with that. And Jake's good in that sense. He's a good businessman. He knows what he's doing. So if he wants us to go that route, there's a reason behind it. On the digital end, right now it's trying to figure out how to monetize things like social media and video to a way that makes sense for the brand, and not just the brand, but hopefully, in terms of just bodybuilding, trying to find a way that you can get some of the competitors involved in that as well, to give them something back and give them incentive to want to work with you. And it's kind of, I'm not trying to be too vague here, but there's just so many different avenues to take that down, because there's so many different revenue models. And wow, this is going to be really gripping for people to hear about back-end web revenue models. But I mean, you look at Patreon, you look at OnlyFans, you look at and you can say whatever you want, but all they're doing is leveraging those people that follow them or that pay attention to them.
Sure. And
they're getting them to support them. So where is the future? Right now, the future is there's a lot of different roads to take. And I think that's ultimately I'm here, I spoke to Jake, I poured a lot of ideas on him.
Sure.
I mean, what we're doing right now is part of it. Look, this is one studio of many that are going to be living in this building alone.
Correct, yeah.
There's going to be a huge gym in this building. There's going to be a lot of just different ways to create fitness, health, bodybuilding content just out of this building alone. And then that's not even talking about going to shows. I think Twitch is going to be a big thing. Rolling Stone just got on Twitch. It's the first huge company that's on it. Twitch is predominantly known for gaming, but they're trying to be known for more than Twitch.
This is a new one now.
Yeah, so Twitch
I just started the MySpace last week.
No, that's good.
Why don't we just combine them all? Can't we do put them all together and have an InstaFacegram or something?
I'm with you, man.
TwitFace, something,
It's a lot, but here's the thing: the more places that there are, the more places that there are for people to be known. And Twitch being one of them, it's a live streaming platform predominantly for gamers. I knew from friends at WWE that they were in talks with WWE to do some things with them. I don't know if that materialized, but I said, you know what? I looked at some of the health and fitness content on there. I think it's pretty desolate, and to me, that just says there's opportunity. And when I saw that Rolling Stone jumped on there and started doing stuff, they're not just doing it just to do it. They're doing it because they see that there is an avenue for growth there. And again, I think it all does come back to a growth model and how we're going to be expanding and what we're going to be doing. And there's a lot of that hinges on some of the success from some of the things we are going to experiment with. So that seems like a really convoluted answer, I know. But where's the future? Right now, for us, I think it's in experimenting. I think it's in putting in video and social, really putting our lot in there and creating content off of that and creating our own news rather than just reacting to what everybody else is doing.
Excellent. Yeah.
That's ultimately where I'm trying to get to. But it's also difficult because there's a bunch of brands that we have. Sometimes, in any company, you have turnover. Yeah. You have to spend time helping people get up to speed, which can be super annoying, but you can't get around it. So there's things that I want to do, I know Jake wants to do, I know Dan Solomon wants to do, I know you want to do. Yeah. And it's to get there sometimes, as much as we want to sprint, it's building the foundation so that when we get there, it'll be sturdy. So we're not just going to be shaky when we're on it.
Well, Zach, we just got some of the archives here at the office, and I hope we get a chance. Will you join me in going through some of this stuff at a later date? Because I think there's some gold there that we can be touching on with the history of bodybuilding.
Sure.
A lot of the stuff that was created by Joe Weider, of course, our founding father.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be a great time for us to kind of go through that.
Yeah, so. I think I packed it up, so it'll just be unpacking what I packed
Beautiful.
up.
Well,
I'll just pretend like I'm shocked.
No, I think we can have a great time going through that and kind of exploring some of the history, but I told you this before, I'm going to tell you the same thing again. Sean Perrine was one of my closest friends in this industry, and unfortunately we lost him way too soon, but I told you when last I saw you, I think you're a great guy to have kind of stepped into those shoes, and I think you're a perfect person to kind of take this to the next level, and I think you're doing a great job with it, Zach. So,
thanks, man. I appreciate it. Even if you didn't want me here, I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we'd kind of grow on each other, so...
No, thank you.
Zach, appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks,
and
bro.
yeah, we're going to get a chance to get our hands dirty into some of those archives real soon. For Zack Zeigler, I'm Bob Chick. We're out.